Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
And I'm Joey.
And today we're going to be taking a look at Dungeon Legends. This is the kind of spiritual successor to Chronicles of Avel. And by that, I mean it's come from the same studio here, and they're setting it up as you have gone through Avel, your kids have gotten a little bit older, we're going to want to step up that gameplay a little bit. This is kind of the next in line of that. It's going to play very, very differently though. It's still going to be a cooperative game, have some adventure elements, things like that. We both played it. We want to talk about it. So first of all, let's check out how it plays, and then we'll come back and give you our thoughts. Dungeon Legends, coming to you from Rebel Studios, and as you can see here, this is part of the Avel universe. So if you have played Chronicles of Avel, some of this might look familiar. Not necessarily the gameplay, but the characters and the general world. Now to set up the game here, there are going to be two different setups that you have to combine. You're going to have the base setup, which is true for every game, such as prepping your character areas, getting out, some of the tokens and things like that, setting up the starter monsters, but your locations and different tokens that might come up on the board are going to come from the Book of Chapters. So you also have to choose one of the 5 chapters in here and follow these setup instructions as well. Each of those will be annotated with their box with the numbers. So for example, this is the first one, and in it, it'll have a list of all the components that you'll set aside. And again, refer to the Book of Chapters on how to set that up. So I've already got that done here though. I also have my player area set up. Each player is going to have their own box as well, which again is going to have all the components that you're going to need to set your character up and get you started. So here we are ready to play the first scenario that comes in it. The flow of the game is each player is going to take a turn and then resolve one of these cards on their turn as well, back and forth until you meet the goal of that scenario. So each scenario will have its own win condition, potentially a loss condition as well. Or if one of these monsters ever advances into the castle down here, so if you would have to fill the line up and push it down into the castle, you would instantly lose. Or if you ever have to draw a card from this deck and there's not one there, then you would lose as well. So on your turn, you're going to have a hand of 5 cards, and you would look and you're going to kind of program these cards or use them for some ability. On a card, each one is going to have an ability at the top. So for example, this is going to allow you to attack for 1. This is going to be melee, so where you are. This one with the slash is going to give you an option of either attack for 1 or get a dust token. When you earn a dust token, you're just going to pull it down here to your bottom to your available dust. This is the magic or kind of the resource of the game that you'll use to fuel other actions. If you ever have something like this, this is going to allow you to do a ranged attack up to 1 away in this case and do a damage there. So for example, if I would play this card here with the ranged attack on this card here, I would get to hit that for 1. Now turning our attention here to the monster card, and I'll just turn that around. If a monster card ever has a symbol up here, that means when you hit that with a melee attack, so a sword specifically, it's going to do 1 damage back to you. So for example, I would take that off right there. However, because I used a range on this one, I wouldn't do that. Let's say that I also wanted to use some of these swords to melee attack this monster at my current location here. I would kind of go like this, make a pool of that resources. Let's say I want to hit it for 3. So I'm doing an attack of 3 on this card. I have made this pool of 3. I'm doing a 3 attack. However, looking at his symbols here, he ignores 1. It breaks one shield, or I'm sorry, breaks one of my swords, so it is going to kind of be like a shield to them. So I would only be doing 2 damage. He also hits me back. He's going to bite me for 1, so once again, I would remove one of those. If you ever add enough on a monster to clear it, that's when you're going to get this bottom bonus down here. In this case, for the Night of Darkness, I would get 1 dust. So again, I'd pull a dust token down here. And then I also get a card. This is going to be an advanced action card. So when you get that, for example, if I'd taken him out, I'd clear him off the board. And then I get to choose one of these cards up here. These are advanced actions. Let's say I really know I want to be a heavy hitter in this game. I'm going to go for this one right here. I would take it. And it's going to have 2 actions on it. The top action is the main action of this card. I can always use this card when I play it down to hit for 2. However, if I spend one of these dust tokens, so take it from my bottom here and push it up into my unavailable, I spend it, then I get to do the bottom one instead, and I get to hit for 3. When you get these cards, then you would put them face down on the top of your deck, so it is the next card you draw. go ahead, and this deck is actually upside down. There you go, spoilers. And then you would flip one over, so there's always a pool of 3 for those. You're going to keep playing out your cards until you've played your whole hand. So here, my last one as well is going to be a dust token. Now, if you have a card that you can't use, then at the end of your turn, you are going to have to discard those and put everything over into the discard pile. So those are spent and done. Some other actions you're going to see, or some other symbols you're going to see, is anytime you have boots on a card, that's going to allow you to move 1. And so you would just move on these different character locations to go up and down to be able to reach different monsters or use different locations. You can use each location once on your turn. These locations are going to have different effects. So for example, here, when I was here, I could have spent between 2 and 5 dust tokens in order to put one of these traps out. You'll see that there are 2 different trap locations. So like right now, let's say when I was here, I wanted to use that, I would spend 3 of mine, and then I get this level 3 trap that I can put on one of these traps on the board. Let's say I want to do it here. Because now, if this card would ever advance beyond this trap, it immediately takes 3 damage. You're not going to get the benefits from killing it, but it does help you kind of clear those monsters out. And then, of course, that trap token would be cleared away. Locations are going to be doing different things. These are specific based on the scenario you're playing, so I'm not going to go too much into them. But you'll see there's symbols there. They're all explained in the player aid. And have the symbols and the writing as well to help with that clarification. If you ever get these fairy tokens down from these locations, or any of monsters that you clear, things like that, they will go on your board. This character specifically starts with one of these already, a specific one just for her. But if you would ever get one, you would just add it to your board here, and again, it would refill. And you can use those at any time. And when you do, you just discard them. They're going to be one-time boons and abilities that you're going to get. The other thing that you can do on your turn is use any of your abilities up here. You have 3 special abilities that you're going to get to be able to use during the game. At any time, I can take 2 free movement. When I do that, I'm just going to move my little marker here to show that I did it. And now I know I can do 2 swords or a transport. So what this means, if I wanted to go there, I just get to transport to any location. So you can do that you'll have up to 3 different actions throughout the whole game that you can take. So they're one-time abilities that you're just going to track with your little token. After you play all your cards for that round and you discard any that you didn't use, you put them in the discard pile, you're going to draw and resolve one of these cards here from the monster deck or the universal deck. This deck is going to be comprised of some base ones that are always in there, and then a couple that come from the scenario specifically. So you'll build this deck at the beginning of each game. These are going to be anything from additional monsters that are going to come out, which will just be added right here into the line. And if another one has to come out, like this one has to come out, it would just push everything down. So again, you can see what I was talking about earlier. If you ever have to push everything down and it would push something into the castle here, then you would lose the game. They're also going to have different event cards that'll be in there. These are the horizontal cards. These are going to be one-time thing that you would read, take care of them, and then discard it from the game. So for example, in this one, you're going to roll a die, and on that location number, location 2, you're going to place one of these tokens, which is going to make that monster a little bit harder. So in this case here, it would add 1 broken sword to that location. So any monster you fight there is also going to have effectively 1 shield or block 1 damage that you do. Discard that, draw back up to 5 cards, and it is the next player's turn. Again, you're going to do this going back and forth, each of you playing out your 5 cards, discarding, resolving a monster card or a universal card here, and then drawing back up, back and forth until you either lose the game by running this deck out or advancing a monster into the castle, or you complete that individual scenario's goal and win the scenario. So there's going to be 5 scenarios. They can be played standalone, jumping into your favorite one, or you can play through the campaign and kind of unlock the whole game. As you're getting these cards into your deck at the end of the scenario to reset, you do get to level up 1 if you're going to play through that campaign that we were starting. So here, let's say this would be my deck at the end of the game. I would take one of these, choose this is the card that I know I want in my deck next time. I discard all the others, and then put this back in my box so that I'm ready for the next scenario. If you want to do standalone, then you would just draft one of these at the beginning of the scenario in order to add to your deck. So you could only ever have 11 cards, your 10 standard ones and one upgraded one at the start of any scenario. But you will do that in scenarios 2 through 5. Not one on one. You got to start basic. So that's going to do it for Dungeon Legends. Let's head back up top and we will talk about our thoughts. All right, so let's start out with just the production and overall aesthetics of the game. I find it to be very rich and very well produced at the same time.
I agree.
I think that there's a lot of good production value in this here. The fact that it comes with a playmat out of the box, that automatically feels deluxe.
Yes,
right?
I agree. Yep.
And then talk about getting the game to the table and being able to get it set up quickly, that each player has their own little box with all their components in it. I find that to be so simple and refreshing in a kids game that you can, or kids, young family game. Yeah, I still think it is designed for older kids, maybe like 10 to 12, you know, kind of age. I think if you have a really gamer kid, you can probably start as young as 8, but definitely geared more towards that 10 to 12 range. But how fun that you can all sit down and be like, here, you set this up, it's in this box. Here, you take this box and set that part up. I find that really helped the flow.
It's the little things too, like it shows you what goes into that box.
Yes.
You know, everything on there. And even like when you purchase cards and they go into your deck, they're different. They're foil, so you can kind of see how they come out. So the breakdown is just as easy, which is huge.
Absolutely. How fun is it to draw your your hand of 5 cards and you get one of those gold foil ones and then you're like, whoo!
Yes.
Like they feel good. But somehow, and I haven't figured this out, you can't tell when you're drawing them.
No, you can't. I was worried about that at first.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to know when it comes up, and you don't.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I definitely focus on slaying the monsters that give you those cards.
Oh,
because
100%.
of that.
I
You know,
love
absolutely.
that.
I'm like, oh, another fairy?
Yes.
Nah, I want the gold card.
Yeah, I kind of ignored the fairies for a little bit, but then they're useful, though.
They're really, really useful. I think they come in handy when you're looking to kind of combo your attacks together and combo. You know, it's a little bit more of advanced play, it feels like. So when I was playing with my kid, I was definitely doing more of that to kind of model that skill for him until he was kind of picking up on the gameplay, which I think speaks to the great flexibility of this game. Like I was saying, I think as young as 8, you can start playing this. And I think the game is forgiving enough that you can turn the game over to the kids to make their own choices.
Right.
And by that, I mean, as an adult playing the game, I found it pretty easy.
Yep.
Which leaves a lot of flexibility for the kid to not be as good at the game, but still feel successful.
Yeah.
You know, that being said, I didn't think it was always a guaranteed win.
No. And it can be swingy, too, depending on what card comes out and as they run. For me, the gameplay I really enjoyed because it felt like a combination between Clank and Legendary. You know, Legendary because you have that line of cards coming up, and then Clank because you're trying to collect those boots so you can move around. And it's not a dungeon crawl, but you do want to move around that track to activate different abilities in different places. And everything is very just streamlined in that.
Yeah, it definitely feels, I think streamlined is the perfect word. It feels like you did take a dungeon crawl and you just cropped it down.
Yeah.
But it's a well-cropped dungeon crawl.
Which is funny because when I opened this, you told me nothing about it. You're like, hey, play this. I thought it was a dungeon crawl when I came out. And it came out, I'm like, oh, okay. And it works. It works really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you spoke about those symbols. You know, you're trying to get the boots to move around and you're trying to get the swords to attack and stuff like that. I did find this game to be very symbol heavy.
Yes.
And for the player aid to only be on the back or on the last 2 pages of it's not the rule book, the book of chapters.
Right.
I was like, come on, we need more of those around the table. I felt like that was a bad production choice.
I agree.
Where kids need to be able to see that because it is so symbol heavy here. Now, I was glad that it also had text on the cards to describe it. So you have that, but the text is pretty much illegible unless you're sitting right in front of the board because it's really small and it's pretty heavy.
100%. I always think when you don't include enough player aids for everyone, that's an unforced error.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, come on, guys. If you have too many, that's great. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Not having them is frustrating.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And that being said, I think that points to another negative I've had for the game is I think the rulebook is pretty close to terrible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very simple questions not answered, such as when you're playing out your hand of cards, are you taking and combining all these symbols together? So, hey, I'm actually doing 4 4 damage because I have 4 swords here, and then they hit me back for 1 because they have that bite mark symbol? Or is it, I hit for 1, I take a bite. I hit for 1, I take a bite. Yeah. That's not in the rulebook. I had to go to BGG to answer that very simple question.
Yeah, a lot of clarifications.
Yeah. Because you're also not just like playing out your whole hand and then comboing it together, because in that case you would need actual tokens that the kids can count out and something like that. So the rule book just has so many basic questions left unanswered. You can find it on BGG, and that's great. And shout out to Paul Grogan, who did that, who is a rule book editor and stuff like that. And he has a fantastic, I think, kind of required reading for this game on BGG. Just stinks that you have to take that extra step there.
Yeah. Chapter-wise, I think the chapters were really good because they're so different. You know, they had a little mine car one, which is really fun. I like that variability in there.
Yes. Yeah. And I like that it unfolds through 5. It's an approachable campaign. So you can do all 5 and see the whole scope and storyline here of the game, but then pick your favorite ones.
Exactly. You know? And now there's some universal cards that keep showing up, so you will have... Not everyone is completely different. You're going to see familiar monsters showing up throughout. So
right. Which I think in a way is nice, because then it really just feels like you're tweaking each episode. You know, you're not learning a whole new game. So it is going to have that familiar strand running through each one. But I think they play very different. You talked about the one with the carts. There's one I really like, that there's some cards that you shuffle into that monster deck there, the universal deck, and different moons are going to come up, and you have to wait for them to like age out or get to the right location before you can observe them and clear that card. So you need to clear them at the right moment. So that one's a real timing element and kind of puzzly. So they feel different as well. They do. Which I really liked. Anything else that you want to talk about before we jump into final thoughts?
No, I think it's good. Again, the setup and breakdown is fantastic. That really stood out to me. How much thought goes into that. Okay. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, what do you think? Where are you going to come down on this?
I'm coming down to 7 on it because I do like it a lot. I think it's one of those that I think I can recommend for families because, again, I like Clank. I like Legendary. I would not play Legendary with the family. Clank is a maybe. This kind of scratches that itch for both of those games. You know, I'm like you. The player rate did kind of frustrate me a bit, but then you can kind of roll with that. I think, again, like I said, unforced error. But I think it's a very condensed version of what you want to get your family into these style of games.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little higher. I'm going to come down at 8 on this. I really enjoy the gameplay, and I think what you're getting here in the box is a fantastic value. I think that the artwork and the designs that they work, this world that they've created, is perfect for this middle age kind of range of kids.
100%.
You know, they're not ready for kind of those older or more complex games, but this isn't going to feel like a kid's game either, especially in visuals. Right. It doesn't feel adult, but it also doesn't feel like I'm playing a kid game. You know, my 12-year-old wants to feel like a 12-year-old. He wants to have little scarier monsters, you know, and things like that. And this provides that. I think it's a great stepping up point for kids. I think it allows a lot of flexibility and growth for kids as well, as they're starting to put together strategies and learn how to combo kids and just ready to kind of step that gameplay up, but not be highly competitive with other adults or their older siblings or something like that. Also, as an adult, I have no problems playing this game. Right. I was really engaged this whole time and enjoyed the puzzle elements. So I think that's a sweet spot as well, that as an adult, I don't mind playing this. Yeah. So for me, I really enjoyed that. What is holding it back, unfortunately, is some of those rulebook issues. Some of the heavy on the symbols, and the symbols not quite making sense. That is going to go away with repeated plays, both of those issues, but it does make it a harder jumping on point. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really, really good family game that offers a lot of flexibility and growth in it. So for me, it's an 8. 100%. So that's going to do it here on the Dice Tower for Dungeon Legends. Thanks for joining us. I'm Camilla.
I'm Joey.
And let's go in the dungeons.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.